And Sae'Von, before you go into the viability monetarily of art, could I get both of your perspectives on what you would say to somebody that calls any of us, texts any of us, or is out there thinking or listening to this right now and does not know how to proceed when their family doesn't believe in them, when their friends don't believe in them, when their significant other tears them down when they come home for dinner, when they're talking, their parents or their close family are talking at familial events and your name gets brought up and it's said that you're a creator, you're a photographer, you're a painter, and immediate condescension comes down. Immediate bullshittery comes down on you as an individual because of your societal status based on that word, the modifier, that is representation of you. Let's start with Sae'Von over here, if you would. But what is y'all's opinion on that? Because I think that is something that we don't talk about as creatives enough, but we all see it almost every day.
Yeah, well, I think similar to the point that you were just making, Caleb, there has to be a foundational layer of secureness in oneself. There has to be some rooted foundation of a belief in oneself and whether that's, people give it different meaning, right? For some people, it's like you said, it's that joy of that expression, that medium. For other people, they find that there's some purpose because they're putting a message in it. For others, it's just a fun way, to spend their time. But I think that if there's not that bedrock, if there's not that root, chakra solid of like, hey, this is a part of who I am, or this is something I'm choosing to engage with, choosing to do, then it's going to be very hard to build anything on top of that that can make somebody resilient to any attempts to diminish or minimalize any of that world, that creativity, because, historically speaking, for survival reasons, it's not like people have really chosen creativity or creation as a means of survival. And we get to a more, modern time. As we all know, most people are going out, getting regular jobs, working in offices, doing all these things that reach what they view as that quote-unquote success. And it's often not until somebody who would identify as a creator or creative reaches some other level, whether it be working with a certain artist or a monetary milestone or a notoriety milestone, that then there starts to be this kind of societal affirmation that what they're doing is valuable. So for an individual kind of in that interim period, there has to be a lot of security in one's own self. And even those moments where it wavers, as it has for myself, I think that's where, at the same time, even though it may sound contradictory, the creator, the artist, and this is what any person needs to understand, that they're not what it is that they do. Even you take somebody like Kendrick Lamar, or you take, Pablo Picasso, sure, to the world, they may be an artist, a rapper, a painter, whatever, but at the end of the day, as individuals, we are not simply the things that we have done. We're not simply, the tasks that we have spent our time doing. And I think if one can also align with that realization, then it allows one to be more resilient to any sort of trigger that might come from a critique or a shot at what it is they do.
So here's the tricky part, though. When you ask that question, I can't help but think about myself, as well as just other people out there. Okay, you're finding your way. You know that you like this thing, or you feel like there's purpose behind this thing. You've just found it. So the knowledge is there, but maybe it's not cemented in yet. Yeah. And then you're receiving these kind of destructive labels or critiques that I know that a lot of people, if they wanted to go into a creative realm, including my own parents, more so my dad than my mom. I think it's a parent's nature to want the safe route for the children rather than they want them to be risk adverse. It's just, I think that's kind of a intuitive thing of like, well, if you go to college and you get some kind of degree and then you work a 9 to 5, it's safe because it's predictable. Yeah. But I feel like there's no life in that, especially if someone's saying, I want to do this art thing. So the tricky thing is what if you found something that you like and you're receiving that before it's like so solid? That's when things, I think a lot of people get derailed because you've got someone who's really good at painting, but the parents are like, no, you're going to go and be a doctor like your father did and your father's father kind of thing. Yeah. And that's just it. And then they do that whole thing, that even Gary Vee talks about where it's like, we're paying for your college. This is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And of course, his response to something like that is, then don't go to college on their bill.
And that's what I would
You
say,
know.
but obviously we're opening up cans of worms because everybody's situation
Just popping them open. Just
But it's good to explore it because everybody's situation is going to be different. And while it would be a beautiful thing if people could be encouraged to pursue their interest, it doesn't always work that way. And for some people, let's keep it G. They may feel that burning passion. They may think that that's what they can do. But what if just similar to your mom giving you, honest feedback so that you could get to the level in your skill that you could actually carry it forward as a viable career? Sometimes there's that delusion, where folks maybe are too ahead of themselves. And so it's like, how do you balance that enthusiasm and that eagerness with that also?
You're talking about like the singers that make it into the first round of American Idol. And they're like, how did you get this far, bro?
Exactly.
You shouldn't be.
If you had a parent that was ready to pay for school for you, and that is a viable route, it's another thing that you do have some interest in. So, I mean, obviously,
I think you know what I think the solution is to that.
What's up?
I think, and it takes patience on the parents' end because they want to just pay and get it done, so you're out the house or whatever, and you're on the path that they've set. I think if you, instead of kind of strong arming where you want your kids to go, just allow them to fail.
Yeah.
Like, so if they're like, I want to do this, and then they're like, I want you to go to college because it's way safer, and the ROI seems way higher. I want to maybe like take us 2 semesters off, maybe a whole year. Or like, that is a whole year, isn't it? Maybe 2 years, 2 years or whatever, and let them play it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's safe to give them a deadline. You could say you can do what you're trying to do, but you got to set it up and be viable to a certain extent after a year. If not, you're going back to college. Yeah. I think that would solve a lot of this stuff if there was some kind of disagreement there. Because you're going to find truth one way or the other. Yeah. Either it's not working or you never felt more alive. Or maybe somewhere in the middle. But it's like, you're not gonna be still confused in the same way you were before of like, what is the best path? Let's just do a process of elimination through failure. And then that's where your conviction comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Kevin Hart's story.